What's up, all my supernatural people? My name is Larissa and welcome to the video of the day. Today I wanted to talk about how I overcame my depression. And I want to start by saying that for a long time I didn't even know I was depressed. And it's a very interesting thing to, go about life, just living and kind of living like a zombie and not really realizing that you're battling with this sort of mental illness. And it wasn't until I heard other people that were my friends talk about themselves going through depression and struggling with mental illness that I really sort of realized I was also going through a similar struggle in life. I was in high school at the time and I was in denial for a long time about not being truly happy. I just honestly felt dead inside for a long time, and I struggled with issues such as codependency in relationships, romantic relationships, and in friendships. And I definitely tended to fall into relationships that were extremely unhealthy and toxic, constantly just getting involved with people that would treat me terribly and sticking around. And I was always the one left with a broken heart, and I would get into more relationships like that and always seeming like I wasn't learning from my mistakes. And I was also living in a very, victim-based mindset, always feeling like everything wrong was happening to me, everyone was doing things to me, and that I was completely not in control of how I was feeling and it was everyone else's fault. Just that victim-based mindset of not being empowered and not realizing that I had the power to choose how I wanted to feel by choosing who I involved in my life and the environments that I surrounded myself with. And it was just a huge learning experience that really shaped who I am today, and I am super, super grateful for it because I honestly do not regret anything I've done in my life. Even during those times of deep depression and numbness, I made a lot of silly decisions, trying to fit in, trying to please people. That's the other thing. I was such a people pleaser. I did not care about myself at all. I had no self-worth. I put my full worth on other people's approval of me. And I've always been a very sensitive person, extremely sensitive, and I'm an extremely sensitive empath. I feel everything around me. I feel everyone's emotions, but I'm also a very intuitive person. But when I was younger, I definitely didn't really listen to my gut very much because I think I had the low self-worth. Even if I realized the situation was bad for me, I was such a people pleaser that I always thought I could save people or help them. Even if they weren't treating me well, I would think if I treat them well, maybe I can help them become a better person. But I now realize, now that I have self-worth and self-love for myself, that I don't need to focus on other people. I need to focus on myself and surrounding myself with the best people that uplift me and, are on my vibe and that I vibe with and get the same, respect and love back from. And that's not to say that you can't love other people from afar. If there's people in your life like family or, close friends that you've had forever, it's not that you should just delete them from your life. It's if they're toxic, just try and distance yourself from them, but send them love. Send them so much love and healing. But you can't heal them. They have to heal themselves. And that was a huge thing I had to learn, is that there's nothing I could do for other people and that other people could do for me. I had to do everything for myself to reach happiness and, to be a better person. I had to stop focusing on trying to change other people. So like I said, when I first sort of acknowledged that I was dealing with depression, I had some other friends that were talking to me about it, about how they were depressed, but I was never able to talk to other people about it and kept it hidden and secret for years because I was honestly just so ashamed and embarrassed that I was struggling in that way. And I always tried to just portray myself as this really happy person, or just that I didn't care, that I didn't have these deep emotions, even though I've always been such a sensitive person. but I didn't want to seem so worthless, because that's kind of how I viewed myself at the time. So yeah, that just led me into toxic relationship after toxic relationship. And honestly, the worst of it was the last relationship I was in before the one that I'm currently in now, which is the actual first healthy relationship I've ever been in. And I think that's all due to the inner work I've done on myself in respecting myself, loving myself, setting high standards, and just not putting up with anybody's BS anymore, because you know what? I am worthy. And it really started with me treating myself with respect first. And it should never just be about pleasing the other person and sacrificing your own happiness, which is what I did for so long. And for me, rock bottom was sort of the point where like I didn't even want to live at that point. I mean, it's hard for me to even admit now that I did have thoughts of like, you know, suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. Nothing to the point like where it was severe enough that I would have acted on it, but just the thoughts alone being there, like even now looking back on it, I'm just like, wow, like it's crazy that it got to that point for me, but it's true. That's just what happened. So once I realized I really had to do something to change if I was gonna continue to live my life, because I just was done living in the numbness, in the toxicity of my mind and the lifestyle I had built for myself. So it started with one, finally, you know, admitting it to somebody else for the first time. Because at that point I had admitted it to myself. I had realized I had been depressed for a while. And I knew that the hardest part would be admitting that to other people, to finally open up and talk to somebody about it. And so since my boyfriend at the time was the only person I really had in my life, you know, to talk about that with, you know, I still had friends and family, but he was the person I was closest to, and, you know, so codependent and, you know, still in that unhealthy mindset. But I finally opened up and admitted it to him, and it did take a little bit of the weight off my shoulders, but because he wasn't really the right person for that situation, it did cause, you know, a lot of issues, and, you know, it wasn't a great experience for the first time opening up to somebody about such a, you know, sensitive topic. But it did lead me to want to find a therapist. But therapy was helpful in a way, not that the therapist helped me with specific issues that I needed help with. It was just being able to talk to someone for the first time about these issues that I had held on to for so long, like just opening up to somebody and finally admitting to them what I had been struggling with. Like, it was just what I needed to get started in healing, because for years I had held it in and not told anybody. And that's really when things just grow and grow and grow and get out of hand, when you're not able to like release them and express your feelings and you just hold it inside. That's when things get super, super built up and even more powerful over you. And so we need to be able to take control and take our power back over our own feelings, and, you know, learn tools to help us overcome things. And so what I learned from that experience was one of the best tools is to just express your feelings and, you know, admit it to yourself, maybe admit it to another person, talk things through. And if you don't feel comfortable about talking to somebody else at the moment, then maybe like try journaling, writing things out, making art with your feelings, you know, expressing them in some way really helps to sort of activate the healing process and acknowledge what you're going through. And for some people like myself, sometimes it does take hitting rock bottom to really get to the point where you're ready to heal. But hopefully not everyone has to go through that, but that's just like my experience with it. So from there, that's really when things started unfolding for me. And I started reading a lot more self-help books, and that's when I learned the most about how to really, you know, take charge of my mind, my mental health, and learn that I am actually in full control. I just have to learn how to do that, how to slow down my mind, how to relax, how to go inward and rewire my mind. And you can do that through meditation practices. There's even forms of like hypnosis and stuff that people can do to, make you go back to a time of trauma that you might have even forgotten and sort of go back to the root of the problem and heal from there. And yeah, just learning about trauma and how it affects us, our whole lives as we get older. It's insane, like how these little minuscule things or big things can, really affect us for the rest of our life. And it's just important to acknowledge what you've been through. So with a lot of the books that I read about trying to heal my mind, I realized I was lacking self-love. I realized that I had low self-worth and that I was, constantly getting into these bad relationships. And I had to stop thinking that I could fix these relationships and fix these people, and instead just focus on myself for some time and really put all the love into myself that I would normally put into other people while leaving myself behind and leaving myself empty. I needed to fill myself up so I could be full and then overflow into other people's lives. Fill my love up first from within, and then it will overflow into everyone else around me. And these concepts, really made sense to me, and I started applying them and seeing a lot of changes when I treat others, with love and respect now versus how I used to. Like, it's way more authentic and unconditional. Whereas in the past, it was always, I was seeking approval and I was seeking something in return. And I now know that I don't depend on anyone else for approval or happiness or anything like that. Like, I am just one with myself and I am whole and complete as I am. I don't need anybody else. And when I finally, realized that and accepted that, and that became my vibration, that's, due to law of attraction, that's when I finally attracted the right people into my life. Your thoughts are going to dictate your vibration. So if you're thinking, if you're desperate and lonely and, you feel like you're not good enough and this and that, you're either going to be alone or you're going to attract people that make you feel that way and make you feel like you're never going to be good enough. But if you're giving yourself all the love in the world and you're worthy, and you're telling yourself every day that you're beautiful and that you love yourself and that you're whole and that you don't need anybody, that's when the universe is going to place a perfect person into your life that will remind you that you don't need anything but yourself and that you are whole and amazing as you are on your own. And that person is going to reflect that as well. So the relationship I have manifested into my life now is like, we're two people that are on this healing journey together. It's a lifelong process of learning from your mistakes and going inward and really learning who you are inside and what you can do to be the best version of yourself. And that's where we're both at, and it's awesome to be with somebody that's at a similar point in their journey. So it's nice to share that together and grow together. But we can also go separately on our own journeys at the same time. But yeah, I just hope this is really helpful for anybody else who can relate or who is struggling right now. Definitely the gift of having gone through this whole journey is that now in situations like what we're all going through right now with this, energetic shift, it's, a very interesting time right now, and it's been rough, on everybody. Even myself, I've felt just sort of ups and downs, my emotions. But because of what I've been through, and I've come from such, the bottom of the bottom for what I can relate to, I know how to lift myself back up, and I want to be here to help encourage other people and to help teach other people how to do that as well. And everybody's journey is different, so maybe you can relate, maybe you can't. But for whoever can, if there's like just one person out there that I can help with my story, like, that's what I'm here for. And just a reminder, if you're interested in learning a little bit more of, what my biggest healing remedies are, I have a free ebook out right now called 3 Secrets to Supernatural Health, where I do actually talk about this kind of story a little bit in there. So go check that out. It's completely free, so you can download it. It'll be linked in the description below. And definitely go check me out on Instagram as well. And thanks for watching. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!